Welcome, guys. In today's discussions, I'm going to discuss the migration techniques from RDMS to NoSQL, and I will be using a DynamoDB here in the case of a NoSQL database. So here are the points we'll be showing today. I'll be creating a source MySQL database, and I'll be creating some sample tables for the migrations. Then I'll be creating a IAM role required for DynamoDB as a DMS target. And third steps, I'll be showing you the DMS steps, like we have to create a replication instance, source and target endpoints. Then I'll be discussing in detail about the uh, object mapping, mostly the table mapping rules to map data from the source to target DynamoDB tables. So we'll be discussing about multiple examples for one table to two tables. And at the end, I'll be showing this the what are the end results, like the migration tables we received at the target DynamoDB side. So at the beginning steps, I'll be creating a RDS MySQL database. Then I'll be creating a sample user. This will be required for my target endpoints at DMS. Then I'll be it's requiring some kind of privileges. Then I'll be creating the table and insert the sample data. So let's begin. So I'm going to RDS. Let me create an RDS MySQL database. I'll choose a standard create, choose MySQL as the engine. Okay, version should be whatever the default free tier. DB instance identifier I'll choose as a default. Master username I choose as a testdba. DB instance class, whatever comes as a default. T2 micro should be fine. I don't need auto scaling. Connectivity should be okay, default. Publicly accessible, yes, since I'll be connecting through my client tool. Okay, I'll choose wizard 4 because it's already having a port 3306 is open. Password authentication should be fine. I'll put as additional configuration, put a database name as loudvi. Backups, I don't require anything. Okay, so this will take a couple of minutes. In between I can do my next steps. This step, I'm going to create an IAM policy and create an IAM role. This will be required for DMS steps as a target for DynamoDB. So this is the resource policy. You can get it from Amazon documentations. So I have to change this region. I have to put the account ID and the table name I am going to use for DynamoDB. So I'll be changing accordingly. That I'll be using this US East one. and I'm copying my account ID. And the table name I'm going to use for my today's sessions will be school underscore t and and teacher underscore t. Okay, so I'll be creating the policy first. Let me go to the IAM, create policy, choose decision, review policy, put the name as a DMS DynamoDB policy. Okay, policy is created. Now I'm going to create a role. Out of that, I'll create a role. My AWS service will be DMS. Now I'll be choosing my policy DMS. My policy is DMS DynamoDB policy. I'll choose as a TMS DynamoDB role. Okay, this is my role, DMS DynamoDB role. I'll be needing the role later, so I'm role layer and later, so I'm just copying it. Okay, while creating this target endpoint, I'll be needing this role. Meantime, I'm going to the RDS to see if my instance is ready. Still creating, so I believe this is available already. Yes, it is available. So I'm going to log in to this instance using my online tool JackDB. Okay, let me connect. Okay, um, at the beginning you can see that my database is already created, so I'm going to create a user grant privileges. So I'm going to create a user called REPL. Let me copy the entire steps. I'm going to create a user called REPL, and then I'll be giving some kind of privileges to the REPL. Okay, so grant all. I'm also giving this alter, create, drop, index, insert privileges. Okay, okay, and then replication client. Okay, so this step's done. Now primarily as a source for this exercise, I'll be creating two tables, and I will also sample some data. So let me copy and I'll discuss all these things. Okay, I'll be creating the two tables in my source side, MySQL side. I'll be creating a school. So it is having three columns. One is school name, one is total students, and one is address. Similarly, I'll have another table called teacher, which having school name, teacher name, and class. So this is just a simple example, and I'll be using them to migrate my tables from MySQL to DynamoDB. And I'll be playing around with these tables and showing different mechanisms of table mapping. So let me just create the tables. I'll insert some data, some rows. Okay, I think one by one I have to do that. Okay. Okay, it's already done. Good. Let me do for school as well, teacher as well. I believe teacher table is not created. Okay, teacher already exists. Okay. Okay. So I already created the tables and inserted rows into the tables. So this part is done. This part is also done. So on this part, I'll be creating the DNS steps later a little bit because I want to show you the most important part of the things, the object mapping. Okay, now I'm going to discuss about this, the object mapping to migrate data to DynamoDB. AWS DMS uses table mapping rules to map data from source to the target DynamoDB tables. To map data to a DynamoDB target, we can use a type of table mapping. This is called object mapping. So this is kind of a normal structure of the object mapping things. This is something rules, and then rules type is you can the object mapping, and the rule ID is start with one and then increases by one depending on how many rules you have, depending on number of tables. And then rule actions, the rule action, there are two rule options is here. One is map record to record and map record to document, so either of that. And then the object locator, schema names, your source schema name, table name. If it is it's depend upon a single tables, or you can put all, or any kind of start things. We'll start with the single tables or the double tables. And then the target table name, target table names is that, like for our case, our source table is uh, school, and our target table is the school underscore t. Okay, now for the rule action parameter, this is very important because currently DMS supports only two types of rule action parameter. We discussed in our previous slides. One is map record to record and map record to document. So what are they? So map record to record is kind of a um, we can mostly use for migrating from a relation and database to DynamoDB. It uses the primary key from the relational database as a partitions key of the DynamoDB. So it depends on if you have any kind of primary key, it should be kind of a partition key of the DynamoDB table. So we have not defined any primary key, but we assume what is the primary key of our relation table. And then there is another you know, characteristic of the map record to report is that for any column in the source table not listed in the exclude column attribute list, AWS DMS creates a corresponding attribute on the target DynamoDB instance. It does so regardless of whether that source column is used in an attribute mapping. So we'll show you what it means in our one of our exercise. And then another is the map record to document. This is almost same. The only the real difference is that there is an attribute called underscore doc. This applies. This placement applies for any column in the source table not listed in the exclude column attribute list. That means if the attribute column exclude column list, there is a something called exclude columns, like where you can exclude the source columns. You maybe put it as a different names, or you can just exclude these columns from the outputs. So for the exclude column, for the source table not listed in the exclude column list, the it will put as a in under the underscore doc. So we'll also show you what it looks like in the real life. So first, as you know that we have already discussed that I am having two tables called school and teacher, and I already have um, three rows in my school table. So I am going to first create an mapping rule for my school um, in the DynamoDB. So I'll be first discussing about the school mapping because the mapping rules, and that same mapping rules we are going to use it once I'll create this DMX tags. So maybe we'll discuss that about the mapping rules. Then I'll create the DMS steps, DMS steps, and show you the how it is affecting to our migrations. Okay, so this is the first rule I am going to discuss. You can see about this is the rules I am going to discuss. I am going to use it for our first migrations. So here I am just using the one table called school. This is our source schema is cloudvi, rule name is one, it start with one I said. And then rule action is include. That means I am going to include these actions. And then the rule 2 is the object mapping. I am going to use the object mapping. And rule actions, I am here use the map record to record. So the as you said, the schema name cloudpy, and the table name I am going to use it for school. Okay, for target table name, I'll be using the table name as a school minus t, school underscore t in the DynamoDB table side. The mapping parameters, I'll be using a partition key called school name. As you see that this school name, there is no such column in the my source table. So for do that, I'll be also excluding some columns like sch name. This is one of my source columns, and address. I'll be excluding these columns from my target tables. So what is my attribute mapping? Since I'll be using a different column here as a partition key, so my target attribute name is school name. So attribute type is scalar. Attribute subtype is scalar. So I'll be using this value. The school name should be as taking the value from the source table column called sch minor name. This is column name in the my school table. Similarly, I'll be using another attribute mapping. I'll be using call attribute mapping call. I will be using as a sch address, school address. This is a different column. I'll introducing a different name, kind of a column, kind of key value name. So here also I'll be using the same value from the address. As you can see, I am introducing two different kind of column here for my target DynamoDB. So this is the something um, first example table mapping I'll be using for my DynamoDB migrations. Later I'll be showing you what it looks like for map record to document, and then I'll introduce another table called teacher, and I'll be using the same techniques, same rules, table mapping rules using the both two tables. Okay, so at the first steps I am going to the DMS, and I'll be performing some DMS steps. So the steps would be for the DMS steps. I'll be creating a replication instance, then a source and source endpoint, target endpoint. So first I'll going to the DMS. I already in the DMS console. So let me create the DMS instance first. Say cloud by replication. I'll copy the same thing. Okay, T2 small would be good for me. Allocated 20 should be sufficient. VPC is same, publicly accessible. I'll choose the advanced because I am going to use the um, same VPC groups. So I'll create. This will take some time to create. In the meantime, I'll creating my endpoints. For source endpoint, let me put as a source engine MySQL. I'll go to the okay. Let me go to the RDS to copy this server name. So this is my endpoint I'll be using as my server. Port 3306. Okay, I have already created a user called repel for this purpose, and password is welcome one. Now let me create this target endpoint. Put the endpoint as a DynamoDB. Okay, there is a distinct difference for target endpoint for DynamoDB, since DynamoDB is a serverless, so we are going to create the table, not the engine anyway. So I have to put the service access role ARN, which I already copied, and create endpoint. Now my replication instance is available. Let me do a quick endpoint checks for target. So let me do for source as well. Okay. Still testing. Successful. Let me test for source. Successful. Good. Now since my replication instance and two endpoint is created, now I'm going to create the uh, database migration task. Let me put the task name as a cloud by task, and the replication instance, source instance, and the target instance. Okay, I'll put everything as a default. I can put the enable CloudWatch log. This will be required if I encounter any kind of logs, any kind of error or not. But I am not choosing right now. Okay, let me copy the the table mapping which I earlier created. Okay, let me validate once. Okay, I believe I have to, this is a small spelling mistakes. Same things here. So rest of the things is look same because this is my, this will be my target DynamoDB table. Okay, let's create task. Now you can see it is starting. Now my task is running. If I'll choose the cloud by task and go to the table statistics, I can see that 3 rows already migrated. So let me go to the DynamoDB, go to the tables, refresh the page. I can see this is the school underscore t table is created. So if I'll go to the items, if I can see that this is the 3 rows is migrated from my source. Now the another things I want to show you here, for 2 columns I change the school name and school address. So you can see that the school name and school address column has changed, but I have not changed anything for the total students. So total students come as it is, so there will be no object mapping here. Okay, so this is done. I will do right now, I'll show you some other migration table mapping, different kind of table mapping techniques. So I'm just deleting these tables so that I can perform the migrations again. Okay, so this time what I'll be doing that I'll be changing this rule action parameter from map record to map record to document, and I have already deleted this migration task, so let me create a task again. Task 02. Okay, I'll go to the JSON editor directly. I'll copy the same thing from here. So this time I'll be changing to map record to document. Create task. Okay, I can see the load is now completed. Let's go to the table statistics. 3 rows has been migrated from MySQL to DynamoDB. Let's go to the DynamoDB console. Okay. Yeah, I can see that the school T table. Now there is a difference. We can see here. These two tables has been, there is a table. If we can go back to there will be attribute mappings for these two tables. We have changed the column name, but for total students there'll be, it's not even in the excluded columns. It's not even in the excluded columns. So what document says here, for map to record The attribute is called called underscore document. This placement applies to any column in the source table not listed in the exclude column attribute list. As because here we have not put this total students in the excluded column list, it's showing here in under that underscore doc. So you can see that we can got the same number of uh, rows, but the representations in the map record to record and map record to documents little bit different. So okay, now we'll be doing our third test using these two tables. So I'm just deleting the tables again. Also I'm also deleting my tags. Okay, these sections I am going to discuss the two tables, the same things we are having this um, both the teacher and school and teacher will be introducing you remember that we have created the two tables at the source side. So for school table, the DynamoDB table name will be school underscore t, and here we are excluding the columns. We are excluding all the columns. So here now we are doing the three attribute mappings. We are attributing mapping for school name and school address, and here also we are attribute mapping for number one as total students. Maybe I'll change this name as is something else. So for teacher table, in the source teachers table we are introducing this table name as a teacher underscore t as a DynamoDB side. Also we are excluding these three tables, three column itself, schedule name, school name, teacher name and class. But we are doing this three attribute mapping, two attribute mapping, teacher name as a teacher name and the school name from school name. So we are changing the two column names. Since it is map record to record, we are anticipating this the class name will be coming as it is. Maybe let's see, maybe we can exclude the columns class name here, otherwise class name won't be coming here. So we'll be creating a new database tags, migration tags, and I will be changing some of the parameters as well in the map table mapping informations. So let's do that. Let's put as cloud by task 03, be choosing the details. Okay, let's go to the JSON editor directly. I'll copy everything. I'll be changing some of the parameters. Okay, I know that there is a small spelling mistake. Okay, map record to record, I'll be excluding okay, there will be a total students. Maybe this time I'll change these things. I'll just choosing these two columns so that total students will be coming as it is. Okay, no, this time because I'll be choosing, I already have put a total students is say as a total, and I'll put the column as a, otherwise this will be a duplicate. I'll be put the column as a total student. What is the column name? Let me choose a column name. The column name is total students. So total students I'll put as well as in the excluded list. And here I'll be putting the three attribute names. You can see that one is school name. I am introducing the new column, so it will be a new column in the place of the school name. This is the source column was there. Then I am putting a new column called total. This will be taking the value from total students in the source, and also I am having the SCH address. This will be taking the value from the source address column. Now coming to another table called teacher. So I'll be introducing the name of the table called teacher underscore T, and then there will be a partition key names is a teacher name. I'm not putting any okay, I am also putting a short key name here. Now short key name I'll put as a school name. So I'll be excluding school name, teacher name, and the class. Teacher name I'll be this is the value this is the column name. I'll be taking this from the source column. Same for the school name. Okay, for these things maybe I'll try to take the class as it is, so I am removing from the exclude columns. Everything else looks good, so let's go ahead for create a task. Okay, this is a reserved word total, so let me put something else. Let me put as total students. Create task. It's now running. We can go to the table statistics. Okay, I got some issue for the school. I have to look into it, but the teacher is done. Okay, I believe there is some issue with how we can put this the table mapping. Okay, if I go to this tables, okay, okay, I got some error for my first table. There is some problem. Definitely there is some issue with this table mapping. I'll look into it now. The teacher things has come for perfectly fine. You can see that teacher name, school name, and the classes all came. Okay, let me delete these things and let me fix it for my school table. Okay, I get the modify the things. Here's the JSON editor. Okay, let me see where I've done this mistake. Okay, this is the mistake. I have not changed. There is a typo. I have not put this cloud by spelling correctly. That's why it is fail for because it could not find out the schema name from the source. Okay, hopefully I'll just start on modify. I'll save again. Okay, let me restart. Well, now we can see this my load is completed. Let's go to the table statistics. Now you can see that both the school and teacher load is completed successfully. So if I'll go to the DynamoDB table, let's refresh the page. Yeah, now I got both the school and teacher. Here the school there is I don't have any short key, only the primary key is school name, and the teacher I got a partition key as a teacher name and the short key as school name. Let's go to the school. So this is the item, the three items is there. School name, I have changed the column name for that. School name, school address, and the total students. Okay, so they looks perfectly well. Let's go to the my third level of third testing. So I'll be, this time I'll be changing something else. I'll be changing the, from record to record. I'll be changing cloud record to document for some of the tables. I'll see that how they behave, and also I'll try to change some of the parameters. So I'm just deleting these tables as well as my tasks, and I'll be creating a new task again. Okay, now I'm going to show you some other modifications in the table mapping. So it will be a table mapping 3. And let me put the name as a cloud by tax 3. Okay, I'll go to the JSON editor. I'll copy the my previous copied JSON. Let's start doing these modifications. Correcting this schema name. Okay, so now I'm going to correct to change my partition name this time. Okay, exclude column should be good. Since I have changed my partition name, I have to define target attribute name also. I'm defining changing. Okay, school address, this time I'll be using a kind of a two values from my source table. I'll be using school from school name and address from address, so that it is a combinations of values in my target column. And here I am using as a total students. Total students should be good from total students column in the source. Since I am already using this address, so I am removing this particular portion because I have already used this one in my previous attribute. So I am removing this attribute sections. Okay, for teacher table I'll be using as a document map record to document. And since I'll be using as a map record to document, I am removing this class also from exclude columns. Rest of the thing should be same. Let me go through with that. Yes, this correct. Cloud by is correct. I'll be using this map record to record for school table. I'm using a partition key as a school address. So as a partition key, I'll be using these two value from the source table, school name as well as address. I'm using the total students from total students table, total students column in the source. For another table called teacher, this is the schema cloud by. The target table will be teacher underscore t. It will be map rule actions. It will be map record to document. So I'm removing this class here. And the rest of the thing should be same. Let's create the task. Okay, my load is now completed. Let me go through that. Okay, let me go to the table statistics. You can see that all the rows has been migrated to DynamoDB successfully. So let me go to the DynamoDB table. Okay, this is school. So if you see that, so now there is a difference that now only the two column is showing because I have excluded these other columns. But in the school address, it is showing is a school name, comma, address. So the two columns we merge into a single column. Same for the other columns as well. Now the teacher, since I'll be using this uh, map record to document, and this is the class. The class is it's not listed as a it's not in the list, in the excluded list. So the class value is come under this underscore document as per the map record to document section. Okay, that's good. So the next sections I'll be creating another one table, and in this table mapping example I'll be creating a new table, and I'm inserting a single row into the table, and I'll be showing the table mapping. So let me copy these things. Okay. I'll be creating a table called customer, and I'll be inserting one row, and I'll be showing something using this particular table. So how we can use some kind of table mapping from source RDBMS to DynamoDB. So I'll be creating a cloud by tax 4, and go to the JSON editor. So this time I'll explain this what it does. I can also change something if required. Let me change it to cloud and the table name is customer. Okay, I'll also put this table name as a customer T. Okay, I just want to remind you, since customer T is not included in my IAM role, I have to change the IAM policy before doing anything. So I'll go to the IAM, because you remember I already put this teacher and school into this my IAM policy. So I can add these things. This is my policy, DMS DynamoDB policy. So I'll edit, and let me put another row. Put the array as a customer review, save. Okay, now this is my target table, and my partition name is customer name, short key is home state, and this is the exclude columns: first name, last name, home address, home phone, work address, work phone. Attribute mapping, customer name should be the first names comma last name. This the same thing we have used in our last examples. Home state is equal to home state. It's quite simple that we are taking this home state as the same column reference from the source. Now from the income, I am also taking the same thing as a source. Now this is interesting. If you see that this is the contact details, I'll be using attribute subtype as a string, and here I'll be using some kind of details, like I am seeing the value, the name is first name, is everything will be come under the value name is equal to first name. Home is equal to home equal to is it's almost is a address, is under the home, there will be address is home address and comma phone is home phone. So, and under the home, this is the two details will be there, that home address and the home phone. And under the work, similarly, two details will be there, two columns will be there. It is the address is equal to work address and phone is equal to work phone. So that means this will be a kind of a drop down and we can get the details under that. So let me create the task. So now the load is completed. If I go to the table statistics, you can see this one rows is migrated to DynamoDB. So let's go back to the DynamoDB table. I'll refresh this page. Okay, let's go to the item. If I'll put this thing, you can see that my string is kind of, it's like name is Alan, home is address, this is the address, phone is this, work address is the address name, and phone is phone. So, and so this the contact details is comes, everything is come under contact details. The customer name is, it's a name of the first name and common last name. The home state is the same and income is same. So this is a nice example. So I'll show you another one example later. So now as an end step, you can we need to uh, check some few details, like you can change the provision read and writer capacity if you want, because normally it is stored as a 200 reader and 200 writers. So you can change it from the DynamoDB console. You can we need to delete the DMS resources because it's cost us. Then if you want to delete the source database, you can also do that. So I'm just going to delete my resources. I already deleted my database migration tasks. I'm going to delete the replications instance as well as my endpoints. Now I already deleted my DynamoDB tables. So I'm not going to delete my source MySQL because I'll be using for some other exercise. So I believe you can get some kind of glimpse that how we can migrate from RDBMS to NoSQL. Here we have used the RDBMS as a MySQL and the DynamoDB as a NoSQL. So the migration is very straightforward. The only the thing is that there will be a lot of planning will be required because there are some limitations that some kind of data type are not supported. You have to choose the partition key and the sort key diligently, because most of the performance level things you will get it through the either partition on the short key or using the LSI or the GSI. You have to and table mapping is very important. You have to understand how you can do the table mapping based on the your usage on the DynamoDB side. So I have tried to show it some different kind of table mappings in my exercise. Hopefully it will be you get some kind of good idea. And thanks for watching this video.